Hello, everyone. This is Chris Conde with my co-host David Scrivani
Hello.
and Nick
Should I do
Huber.
wave? I don't even know where I'm
Hello,
waving until
everybody.
we're recording this.
Yeah, no, we can wave. We can wave because
I'll wave
I
it- I'll
think
wave
we're
that
I think we're recording. We're trying to record some video. We don't know if it's actually going to work out. Before we get into the meat, the what do you say, the meat and gritty?
Oh, the meat and potatoes, I
The
think
meat,
is
the
the
meat and
is the
potatoes.
phrase.
Okay, we fuck with that.
I
I have a gift to give to my good friend David. If you're watching the video right now, you'll notice these aren't Yeezy, these aren't Abercrombie and Fitch. This is a custom made T-shirt made by yours truly, Chris Conti. It says not licensed by the Toho Company Ltd. What did I write on this? This is not parody. We committed copyright infringement and want to be sued by Toho. We pay all court and tribunal fees. So but I'm not going to court alone. So I got David.
Oh God,
His own copy of the T-shirt.
You're roping me into this, huh?
Yeah, of course. So David, you are now a proud owner of the not licensed by Toho
Oh my
Ltd.
goodness. What size is this? Is the right size? Large? That should work.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
don't know. Hopefully the camera can see that. Look at that.
yeah. If not, I'll
Lovely.
put a photo of it up there. Kurt's probably like, "What the fuck is this?" All right. Cool. So in
I noticed that's not all you have here.
of course. So for being such a good friend for hosting our studio, I'm giving you a Taco Bell cup.
Oh my goodness.
And not only am I giving
Is
you
it a
Taco
winning
cup,
cup? Do you know?
we can find out. There is as you guys may know if you listen to the other episodes of the show, Taco Bell did a collaboration with the 1998 Godzilla film, and there is these little what were they, like little holographic stickers or something that you peel off, and you could win like a motorcycle or a 720p television. I don't even think it was that high back then.
Probably not. Not
Yeah.
even close. 1998, absolutely not.
But maybe one of those is a winner, and maybe we can try to submit it and get the prize. Maybe.
I don't know though. This is like it's a pretty good condition cup. I don't want to ruin its. I feel like that would be sacrilege.
And the last gift David receives today is
This is the best gift of all, I feel.
a copy of Godzilla the album, featuring Puff Daddy and Jimmy Page.
Lovely. I don't actually have this, and I have a lot of CDs in my collection.
Well,
Now I have more.
luckily for you, David, there's already a repo man at your house taking all of your CDs. So this will actually be the only CD that you own from now on.
Joke's on them. My CDs aren't at my house; they're in my car.
Don't worry, we planned for that too.
But thank you, Chris. I appreciate all this.
Oh, no problem. All right, so that's our cold opening. Let's get into the guest.
What is
I
this
think Nick,
show?
you have a
Chris?
visit.
Yeah,
don't worry. Don't worry.
Did we even say the name of the
No,
show?
I don't think you did.
This is No Croissant, and this is episode number. I should have checked before I recorded. I think it's number episodes. Let's just say 7. It's 7. If it's not,
I can find out. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
oh, of course. So we have our first special guest in quite a few months now. This
First
is
episode in quite a few months.
So please give it up for Kurt Carley.
Oh, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
It's an honor to finally meet you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
So Kurt, what did you do exactly on the set of Godzilla 1998?
I was the guy in the Godzilla suit, the Mother Godzilla suit, and I also played one of the baby Godzillas, and I also worked on motion capture for the movie also.
Oh, see, I didn't even know what the motion capture. Okay, it's interesting. All right, cool. So before we get into that,
It was episode 7.
it was episode
It was
6.
7.
See, dude, I'm such a legend. So before we get into, I want to interrogate you about the movie. But before that, I really want to know who Kurt is. I want to know the Kurt story. So what got you into film, and were you working in the entertainment industry before Godzilla? And what got you into, I guess, what would you say, like creature work?
I was very tangentially working in the business. A long time ago, I started professionally working in New York City doing Little Shop of Horrors. I was in the off-Broadway show where I was an understudy doing the plant, Audrey 2, the man-eating plant. And in the last year of the show, I was not the full-time understudy, but I was the understudy they would call when they needed somebody. So occasionally I would come in for a week or so when they needed some coverage for that show. And after Little Shop closed, the show was done a lot in regional theaters around the country, mostly in the summertime. So in the summer, it was not unusual for me to go around the country to like maybe Massachusetts or Michigan or California and do Little Shop of Horrors because finding someone who was experienced and who had done the plant before was easier for producers to do. Like, we'll just hire someone who's done it before rather than trying to teach someone how to do this. So I did that for several years. And then back in 1996 was when everything changed, when I got a phone call out of the blue about doing Godzilla.
Interesting. So wait, was this call by was it a casting director, or did you happen to know anyone from the production, or was this just a total random, like someone thought to look for the Audrey guy?
Right. Well, I still to this day I have no idea why I got called, because like in the summer of '96, like a lot of people, I went to the theater and I saw Independence Day, and like, okay, yeah, fun movie, and I just went about my business. And then sometime in November of '96, I got a phone call, and it was a casting director for the movie, and they said the producers of Independence Day are looking for someone to be Godzilla. And over the phone, the casting person I talked to, they were very, very specific with me. They said, are you 6'3"? And I said, yes. And she said, don't lie to me, because if you're not 6'3", you're going to be angry. I said, no, I promise I'm 6'3". And she said, well, they really want, she said, where are you? I said, I'm in New York. She said, well, they want someone local. And it took some cajoling on my part to get her to at least like accept a fax from me. Like, let me fax my resume to you and some other stuff, like, you know. And she said, okay. So I had to wait till the next day because I didn't own a fax machine. This is 1996. So I had to go to a, you know, like a office supply place and faxed up to California. And a couple hours later, we had a conversation, and she said they really want someone local. And I was afraid that they were just going to shut me out because I wasn't in Los Angeles. And I said, tell them that I will fly out there to meet them, you know, if they want me to. And she called back like 45 minutes later. She said, okay, you have a meeting Thursday at 20th Century Fox. So I got on a plane the next day and I flew out, and I was very, very lucky. I stayed with a married couple that I know out here. And I went to that meeting. But that was, to answer your question, that was how it happened. I like I said, I still to this day, I have no idea why they called me. I have an idea that months and months before that, the Screen Actors Guild, you know, would send out they would send out these cards that you would fill out, like with your height, your weight, special skills. And so I'm just thinking maybe that the casting people said, well, we need guys who have done puppeteering, who are 6'3", and who are in the union. And so maybe that's why I got a call. But you know, it just, like I said, it just came out of the blue.
Right. So did you join? So you must have been a SAG member before pre-production of Godzilla began then.
Oh yeah, I got my SAG card back in 1987. So I'd been a SAG member for 9 years.
So what are some of the early movies you've done?
I'd really only done one movie. I did a scene in a movie called Dominic and Eugene. That scene was cut from the movie. I did a scene with Ray Liotta where we played medical students together.
It's
And that's how I got my SAG card.
See, that's actually pretty interesting because one of the first SAG project I did, I was background in a scene with Ray Liotta.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's actually pretty funny.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah, that was I think that was one of his last movies before this was in. I think filming was in early 2019, summer 2019.
So that movie's come out?
No, it's yeah, it's already come out. It was Hoobie Halloween. It was
Oh, okay.
an Adam Sandler Netflix film. I still
Okay.
haven't seen, but it was one of Ray Liotta's last, and he was I guess not to go on a tangent, but that's just so like it's a funny coincidence there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um yeah, so do you still do film now? And the reason why I asked that is because now it looks like SAG's gonna go on a strike pretty soon.
Yes, I guess we've authorized a strike. Yes, I am supposed to go up to Oregon next month to work on a film. Yeah, I've done, since I came here to Los Angeles, I've done movies like Lethal Weapon 4,
Oh, cool.
the first 3 Underworld movies, Land of the Lost, TV shows like The West Wing, and an old TV show from the old Paramount Network, Special Unit 2. I did several episodes of that. Lady in the Water with M. Night Shyamalan, and I did a fun short film. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, called Batman Dead End, where Batman fights the Joker.
I love Batman Dead
Dead
End.
End's great.
Whoa, so wait, did you play one of the that was the is
The
the
alien
one, right?
predator one,
Yeah.
yeah.
So did you play one of the creatures in that movie?
Yeah, I played the Predator that fought Batman.
Oh,
that's
so cool.
Awesome.
So,
Chris, I've never seen
I'm
like
glad you've
that
heard of it.
big
Some
a
people haven't
reaction
heard of
to
it.
that.
Because he was like, it was the buildup. Because he was like, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I'm like, of course we heard of it. They even made NECA figures based off of
Oh,
that.
did they?
Yeah, they made like official Batman alien figures, I think.
Where's Kurt's Predator figure though?
Dude, there might be one. I don't recall. I mean, it's been a while, so I might be misremembering, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure they made like, I don't know if they called it Batman Dead End exactly, but I know they made like official like figures kind of alluding to the short film, which is pretty cool. So damn,
Yeah,
that's
I don't
that's
think
crazy.
I got a figure. My friend Pat, who played the really tall Predator with the red helmet, I think he got some kind of figure, but I didn't.
Oh, cool. Well, luckily luckily for you, there is already probably heaps of Godzilla 98 toys in a landfill somewhere. So and that's actually what I want to ask. So when you worked on Godzilla, did you have any like pre or even like post like interest or like love for the character, or was just like it's kind of like another paycheck at the time?
No, I did like Godzilla. You know, like you grow up, you watch creature features on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, and you know, a Godzilla movie, you know, great. I've told the story before, but when I was like in 5th grade, I went to a matinee of Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. So I'm sitting there in the theater and I'm watching Godzilla walk through the miniature sets, and I promise you, I'm not making this up. And I sat there and I said, I'm going to do that one day.
Wow.
I had a
And
very
then-
similar
And that's-
experience when I was a kid.
Yeah, but you didn't get to play Godzilla.
No, I didn't, unfortunately. So Kurt's doing a lot better than I am.
And that is so, and that's like, because I'm not like that much of like a spiritual person in that sense, but I think it's so weird how the world works when something like that happens, and then this Godzilla experience that you have happens when you kind of like release trying to,
Right.
like that experience. Not to take away from your talent, but that experience did kind of fall into your lap, or at least the way you make it sound like, where
Right.
it sounds like
And
they found you, which if you, I'm sure you know, is sometimes unusual because acting is kind of it's hard to like get there on your half of like an acting career, I think, is like trying to find the work.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, certainly, like, you uh when the rubber meets the road, you gotta perform, and you gotta be what they want,
Right.
like, um but I know, like, I was waiting tables before I got the call for Godzilla. And when I woke up on Monday of that week, if you would have told me on Thursday you're gonna be on the lot at 20th Century Fox in a bungalow with the producers of Independence Day, I would have said, I don't know how that's gonna happen. But it did. So I was
Amazing.
very, very lucky. But uh, with Godzilla, there were meetings and there was auditions, and it was a lot of work, just to try to get the job. So um, yeah, like the audition process and meeting everyone and just trying to, like, you know just try to make it to the next round, because, like,
Right.
you always have the feeling like, I just had a meeting. They didn't, like, I don't know if they're going to call me back from this meeting. I don't know what's going to happen. Then you would wait like 3 or 4 days, and like, should I go back to New York? Is it over with? And then, you get a phone call like, yeah, we want to see you next week.
So did well, first off, kind of a weird question. Did you get paid for those auditions? Because that sounds like a lot of for multiple rounds.
I did. I don't know what the rules are, but I had auditioned so much that they did have to, when it came down to myself and a couple other guys, they had to pay us,
Right.
because we had been at, the third audition or something like that.
Yeah, that might be a SAG thing. Because I know, like, when COVID, I mean, COVID's still around, but at the height of COVID, when they were still trying to keep the film industry going, I was just doing background for extra money because everyone needed money back then.
Yeah.
And they gave me an extra $100 just to go to Boston and get a COVID test.
Okay.
So it's probably a SAG thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But also, follow-up question: did some of those other people that were auditioning, did they get completely called off, or did some of them get roles as the babies?
One of the other guys worked on the movie, but the other gentleman did not. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So, did you do anything in particular to prepare for the role? Did you base your performance off like real animals, or did you look back at like other Godzilla films, like, and or study any other like Godzilla suit actors, or is it just kind of like totally like your performance, just listen to what the director wanted?
It's been kind of well documented that Haruo Nakajima, in preparation for the role in the original film, like, he went to the zoo and just like watched the way animals move to like base his performance off of.
Right.
Do you have any inspiration from that?
Yeah. I My first meeting with the producers and with some of the producers and effects people, like digital effects, they after that first meeting, they gave me a videotape of different, like, lizards and reptiles, and they were like, we want you to come next time we see you, we want you to come in and do your best Godzilla. Now, they didn't, like, and I said, is it the traditional Godzilla? And they were very cagey. They didn't want to say, but they just said, you come in and do the best Godzilla that you can do. And so I went and I watched that tape over and over again. And I went to the zoo. I did. I went to the zoo. I went to the reptile cages,
Nice.
because I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
If there was some little trick or some movement
Right.
that I could incorporate, that would be good for them to see.
So
So I
that's
did.
so that's interesting because I assume you didn't know about the Nakajima story with the zoo. So I mean, I'm sure that's probably just like also super common with like creature actors too.
Mm.
But that's like a interesting parallel.
Yeah.
Do you still have that tape that they gave you?
I don't. Gosh, that's a no, I don't. I don't know where it went. I think I uh, I probably lost it in the move, when I
Hmm.
moved from New York to.
Any extra insight, Nick? Because I know you were Nick was he had like very extensive knowledge about like even the just the making of the suit, straight from Patrick Tostopoulos. And I kind of wanted to like ask too about like the stilts. The stilts must have been a surprise then.
I wanted to wait till you were finished with yours, Chris, and then I'll go ahead and ask.
Oh, sure, sure, sure. I'll just ask about the stilts real quick. So you must not know about or did you know about the stilts and I want to say like more T-Rex positioning of the character.
Right after we got hired, then you found out about the legs. And some people, we would have some people come in to audition to be Baby Godzillas, and they couldn't really handle the legs. Other people could put them on and you know get accustomed to them pretty quickly. Um, they were made by a guy named Kevin Molman, who's a friend of mine, and he has a company where he makes his own. He makes prosthetics for people, and these things were custom made for you, and they were made of carbon fiber and other materials, and it made your job so much easier because you had something custom made for you. You weren't just kind of jammed into some generic stilt, which would have been uh, really challenging to work with the weight of the suit on your back, and all that weight being stressing your legs.
All right, we'll let Nick take this next one.
Okay.
All right, good. So one of my questions I had was about the suit. So when you came into the studio, and I noticed in some of the photos that the suit itself was a three-piece costume. So you had like this animatronic head, like a radio head above you, and then a plastic sort of mask that goes over to hold the upper headpiece, and then you have the main body, which you got into, and then the tail was attached as a separate piece. Would you mind explaining like just the process of you getting ready to get into the costume?
Yeah, as I remember, for now, are we going to talk Baby Godzilla or you want to talk Mother Godzilla?
Adult Godzilla.
Okay, for the adult Godzilla, we had it depended on what kind of shot we were doing, because we had some suits I wore that we called the bolero suit, which was it was just like for the torso. So my legs were I had nothing on my legs. I had no tail. I just had the Godzilla head, the neck piece, and the bolero suit, because we were just shooting me, plowing through the side of a cave wall or through a building or through the street. But for the Mother Godzilla suit, as I remember, you put um, your legs go in first, and then your feet go into the leg extensions, and then they adjust. They make cosmetically, they make the leg look good where the leg of the suit and the leg extension meet, and then the arms go in. You shrug your shoulders back so they can zip up the costume, and then the fins like are velcroed on the back, like a flap almost. They put that down. The head, you put your head into the helmet, which was custom made for you, and attached to that helmet, like you're correct, was the Godzilla, um, like the mouth of the Godzilla and the eyes and everything. And then you have a chin strap put on, and then they would they had little hooks here to connect the torso of the suit to the neck of the suit, because the neck was, as I remember, was connected to the head. So they would had little hooks that they would hook the neck to the torso, and then they would glue it. They would glue that down, and that took a little while. And then the gloves went on, and the tail. I don't exactly remember when the tail was put on. It was probably put on last, because that also, I think they used to call that the inside the tail or near the tail was what they called, if I remember right, the refrigerator, where you held the batteries.
Oh.
And I don't think there were any servos or motors back there. I think those were on the skull cap.
That's interesting. That's I recall Haruo Nakajima making the same comparison. The original Godzilla suit had a battery right between his crotch, and I remember him recalling that it was also super hot. Because that powered, I think it powered the fire breath.
Okay. Yes, and so then you would be all locked up and ready to go in the Mother Godzilla suit. Yeah. And
So that's incredible. So I actually, on the topic of the suit, did you see a recent video that the was it the Sony Pictures like a lot official Instagram posted?
Oh yeah.
They posted photos of the suit and the baby Godzilla suit, and
okay.
they took they made like a little skit, fuck that up, a little skit with the remaining withering baby Godzilla suit.
It didn't even look that bad.
It really didn't.
25 years on.
I know the adult or the mom Godzilla suit. I recall the nose is kind of like almost
Kind of
like
drooping.
But
Yeah.
honestly, for considering that movie's like 26 years old now, it doesn't look that bad. But yeah, they did a little skit with the baby Godzilla. They gave him like a funny voice, and like he's
like taking a tour of the Sony lot.
Yeah, and they
Oh,
posted
okay.
that like a few months ago, so maybe we'll send it to you.
Oh, please do. I would be very interested to see that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I know there was other photos that showed up at the Mother Godzilla, right? You saw that?
I think so. I'm having a tough time remembering at the moment, though.
Nick, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, Nick.
Yeah, I got the tail photos. I'm trying to get my camera arranged. So there's the tail you were just talking about there.
Yep. That's
Nick
it.
is currently trying to show a photo of the suit through his phone, through the webcam.
Right.
Yeah, and there's the headpiece there, and then here's the big famous photo of you getting into.
Yep.
Yeah. So one other question I had for you was, what was it like working with Patrick Tatopoulos? If you ever got to like meet him when he, you guys were working in the studio.
Oh, I worked very closely with Patrick on that, and it was great. I really enjoyed all the times I spent with Patrick. He had great insight because he was the guy who designed it, about how he wanted it to look, and we were all very invested in making this thing work as well as it could. So yeah, Patrick ended up directing the third Underworld movie I was in. So that was really interesting to see him go from creature designer to movie director.
Mhm.
No, I had a really great time working with Patrick.
Yeah, from all the stories I always hear, it's like always great working with him. And yeah, it sounds like he had an incredible experience working in the suit. Was there any plans to use any other full body shots in the film? Did Emmerich or in the producers talk about it, like some shots you might have had of like just the entire body, like when he's like running through the city? I know you mentioned about the torso shots, but I was wondering, was there any other full body shots that maybe were considered before they went with the CG model?
To tell you the truth, Nick, I don't know. So much of the job was you show up we're going to do this shot today, get in the suit or whatever version of the suit we're going to do, and we're going to shoot it. So I really wasn't privy to, like production meetings about, well, we're going to need this shot, or we want to see if we can get this or that. I was just, like I said, every day showing up like, okay, what are we doing today? And, how can we make this really cool?
Gotcha. Did you do any shots with the Brooklyn Bridge scene? Reason I ask is because there's a photo I found that shows what looks like either the mechanism that was used in the suit, or might be you perhaps in there as well. They have like this these pieces that kind of like are hanging off of what looks like the costume, and then
Right.
these little chunks that they have where it's, I guess, supposed to be the bridge or the placement
Yeah.
for the model of the bridge when they put the scene together, and then there's a
Right.
green background behind it. Were you involved with that?
I wasn't. I remember, from my memory, they had this really beautiful Brooklyn Bridge model. It was stunning. And they were doing a shot where Godzilla's been killed and he's on the bridge dead. And I came into work, and one of the costume women who was like the lead costume maker, she was positioning the suit, and I said, what's he doing? She goes, oh, he's just dead. And I said, well,
He's just dead.
he's just dead. And I said, well, I can get in, they just want me to, I can get in the suit and just lay there because, that's really easy to do. I just lay down and shoot. But she said, nope, that's not how they want to do it. Like, okay. And maybe I shot something different that day at the same time. But that was the other thing. That suit was, custom made for you. So it was so comfortable. It was, it was tailored for you. So sometimes when you would lie down in it, you just felt cradled because it just was, custom made for you.
Just start kind of dozing off a little bit.
Oh, I fell asleep many times. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they also had, they made these custom made resting benches. We call it a prayer bench for the mother Godzilla. And so they'd bring out my quote unquote prayer bench, and you would climb on with your knees, and then you would put your chest on this pad, and then you'd just let your arms hang down. They even had hand grips for you, but you would just get in there and lay down and let the prayer bench take the weight of the costume off your back and your legs, so you could rest. And I fell asleep a few times. Yeah.
It's very nice.
I can just imagine someone being like, "Hey, go wake Godzilla."
So I actually have like an old friend to reunite you with.
Okay. Yes. Great.
Ring a bell.
Where'd you get that?
Okay, so this is one of the masks that they produced when the movie came out. But what's cool
Okay.
that it was made from the same headpiece that they used in the studio.
Oh.
Okay.
So it's made from the prop molds of the costume head that you wore. Basically.
Okay.
So it's not the same thing, obviously, but it's the same mold.
Right.
Pretty darn close.
Gotcha.
But yeah. I brought it for the occasion because we had.
Oh, well, thank you.
One of my other questions I had too was, so I heard that you got to meet Nakajima, right, in Japan at one point.
And this is the gentleman who did do Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, correct? Am I?
Yes,
Correct.
Yes, exactly.
I did. I've never been to Japan. I met him at a convention in Pasadena, I think it was, or Burbank, and he was very, very gracious. He was very nice, and I got to tell him my little story about seeing him on Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, and then I played the American Godzilla, and I have an autographed photo of his. Of course, he doesn't speak English, and of course, I do not speak Japanese, so we were doing everything through an interpreter. But he was very gracious and very nice to me.
Yeah, I think have we all met Nakajima?
I have. Nick, did you?
I said I haven't met him. No, fortunately.
Oh, okay. Get off the call, Nick.
Yeah, he's one of the most humble people I've ever met, I think.
Right.
It's certainly very special.
Did he say because I feel like I've heard this story before. Did he say something funny about the 98 movie, or was that a
He may have, and I certainly took no insult if you know, I took no one's if he did say something funny or had an opinion about it. I didn't take any insult about it whatsoever.
or was it that you apologized or something like jokingly? I
Well,
don't
yeah,
remember.
I felt like, well, yeah, I know. I mean, because everyone said, like, hey, this is not really Godzilla. What am I going to do? Like I did the best I could.
That's funny. So what year was this then? When this meeting?
Oh gosh, that's been a while ago. I would say at least 10 years ago.
Wow.
At least.
Oh my God. Well, I met him in 2015, which is getting up there. God.
I suppose I could go back and do some research, and I know there's some video about him and I meeting, but
Right.
I don't.
I mean, if you happen to have a photo of that, we would love to see it.
Oh, I think you
yeah.
can. I don't think I have. I'll have to look. I'll have to
Right.
look. I may have a photo somewhere.
And that's so interesting. I don't think, from what I recall, I do not think there is another Godzilla suit actor that did both suitmation and or
Motion
just
capture.
motion capture. My brain's working at half speed. Yeah.
Wait, the Shin Godzilla did. Shin Godzilla did though.
Shin Godzilla didn't have a suit though.
They did build like a head prop thing,
Right.
body for it. So how do I put it? It kind of counts because like
yeah.
it's the upper half of his entire body that
Right.
the guy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Kurt's seen it, but they did use motion capture for the 2016 film Shin Godzilla.
Right.
That film, the motion capture was done, and they used the motion capture artist had both it looked like a unpainted like plastic or resin head with like a jaw that moves, and then I believe he also had a tail. I suppose that helped with like the actual performance in some way.
Right. Yeah, I could see it helping. Yeah.
Right.
We're actually about to kind of cross paths with another Godzilla actor pretty soon, coming up in September of this year at the Northern National Convention.
Was he going there, Kurt?
That's what it says.
Oh, yeah, in Winnipeg.
Yeah, Windsor. Because TJ Storm is going to be a guest there as well, who's done the motion capture for all the Monsterverse films as well.
Okay, great. I've certainly heard of that individual. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, no offense to you, but if you guys were to ever fight, my money would not be on you. He is
I agree. I agree.
I've met he is a big guy.
Right.
And he's a very nice guy too. I met him in California at what was it called? The Power Ranger convention. That's like also a kaiju convention every other year. I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
But I did meet him and all the other King Ghidorah actors too. That was probably, I think that was right before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. No, you guys got to meet.
Yeah. Have you
Compare
guys ever
notes or
been to
something.
this Godzilla con in Chicago?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been going for 10 years now.
Yeah,
I've
me
only
too.
been twice in my life, but hope to change that at some point.
Right. I've been trying to get in there last couple of years, and
Really?
I've been unsuccessful. So I mean, like to be a guest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
No,
not happening.
you know, I understand it's their show. They want to run it the way they do, but I did notice that they were, I guess, showing the '98 Godzilla at their
They
convention.
are.
Because
Yeah,
this year's the 25th anniversary of the film.
So they're showing
Yeah.
it.
Maybe.
So I was like, well, you know, I sent them an email like, hey, I played Godzilla. Would you maybe want me to? But I didn't hear anything.
I mean, could we?
Nothing.
I mean, could we do a push? Would it
I
be too
don't.
late?
I mean,
Oh, I'm
think
not asking you that.
it's less than a month away.
But it would be so awesome though,
It would be.
dude.
It would.
It is. They're only gonna have one 25-year anniversary.
I guess that's fair. If you, I'm not going, you're going.
No, because if Kurt ends up going, you are going.
Oh God, I'm just being roped into this.
Maybe next year though,
Yeah.
because they are screening the '98 film.
They are.
Which shocked even me, because so there is a rumor that and I was thinking about trying to get like the casting director for the film on the podcast, because I wanted to ask them this
Mhm.
straight to their face. Was that one extra casted specifically to look like JD Lee's?
What extra are you talking about?
There, Nick, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's talking about the one when he first comes over the bridge and there's a shot of the guy driving in his car and the boat crushes him. You know what I'm talking about? The boat falls off his foot when he crosses over the bridge.
Yeah, I don't. I can't picture the extra at the moment, but I know the scene you're talking.
Most
about.
people don't.
Supposedly, he got someone that looked like JD to play that guy. Like,
Okay.
Because during production of the film, JD leaked. I believe he leaked like the Godzilla design.
Oh, I see.
yeah, supposedly, like he leaked it in the magazine before the movie was coming out, and then that was like just
And honestly, considering there's two principal characters that are basically exist to mock like actual film critics.
Mhm.
I kind of buy it.
Not far fetched, yeah.
Buy it. So I don't know, maybe, but
I think it's a little bit of a stretch, but like potentially maybe.
I have to find out. I have to find out straight from the source. I need to contact the casting director and see if that's true, because if they're still around.
Another question for you that just it was a really important one. It just kind of like slipped past me when we were talking about the bridge scene. So when you came in there and you saw they were setting up the scene where he's dead on the bridge, what did you think about that? Like, that's how Godzilla goes out. He gets killed by the Air Force at the end of the film.
That was towards the end of production, and we were certainly well onto the miniature effects unit by then. I was never allowed to read the script. So, like I would literally just show up and be told what to do and then do it. So, I had an idea that Godzilla would be killed and dead on a bridge, but, I wasn't allowed to read the script. So, certainly when you show up to work and like, oh, he's dead on the bridge. Like, okay, great. Now I know. I really didn't have any feeling about it. I was probably focused on what I had to do. Kurt, you're going to be in the other studio and we're going to be breaking through this street all day today, or we're going to, do some test shooting. So I do know that years ago I went, and you guys probably know the name of this movie better than I do, but there's a Japanese movie where the Godzilla I played is in the movie and he gets killed.
Yeah,
Final Wars.
Final Wars, yeah. And that's a fun movie. That's very fun. I went and saw that at the Egyptian Theater here in LA. And when the Godzilla that I played got killed and everybody in the theater applauding, there was just one small tear that went down my cheek.
Was that the Final Wars premiere they had at the theater? Because I remember that was like opening night, I think, is when they did that.
It very well may have been. It's been so long ago I can't remember. But I thought it'd just be fun to go see the movie. I had no idea that the Godzilla that I played would be in it. I just thought that that thing is forsaken. They're never going to put it in a Japanese movie. And then there he was. And like, well, of course they're going to put him in the movie. They'll do that to him. Makes sense.
Well, they've taken the character, they've given him new life in like some of the comics that IDW has been doing, like Godzilla Rulers of Earth. I think
Okay.
in the first like couple issues, Zilla, as he's referred to now, has been like he's had a resurgence in popularity because of that. Like people are actually doing like giving him the respect that I think people
Right.
kind of wanted from that original movie.
Mhm.
And yeah, so he's like starting to become a more popular character. Like people still don't really see him as Godzilla. They refer to him
Right.
as Zilla, and we've talked about this on the podcast multiple times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know people are starting to kind of find a fondness for that version of the character now because of those comics.
Right. And I think
research.
yes, I agree. And you know, a lot of the like the people like the young guys who watched that movie, you know, they saw it when they were 5, 6, 7 years old. You know, they were maybe really, you know, tuned into that movie, and now they're 30 years old, you know, 31, and they're like, you know, I really like that movie. And so cyclical, and that doesn't surprise me that it's maybe getting a little more respect than it did when it came out.
Did you ever see the '98 film, like when the full thing came out in the theater? Like, did you go see it at the theater at the time?
I did. I got invited to a cast and crew screening. So
Oh.
I didn't get to go to the premiere or anything like that, but I
Mm.
went to, they had a free screening for everybody. And I went with my friend John, who's a director. And he said, we sat in the theater and he said, just nudge me whenever, you know, you're on screen. So, you know, one of the first things I did, I nudged him and he goes, oh, you got 24 frames. So
So you didn't even get invited to the premiere, or did you just not go?
oh, go. No, I wasn't invited.
Wow.
Um,
You're the title character and you didn't get
oh,
invited?
that's not unusual. That's not
Wow. Yeah, that's, I mean, unfortunately, I know that's not very unusual. And that's like, man. Yeah, there's a few I think roles within the film industry that I feel like by the people calling the shots, they see them as very not valuable.
right. Yeah.
But I mean, you played the title character, and not
Yeah,
only
I mean,
did you do the summation, you did the motion capture too.
yeah, I never expected to go to the premiere in New York City, and I mean, if I got to, that would have just been, you know, icing on the cake. But it never, I never had my hopes up for a second. Like, oh,
They should have let you
know.
gone in the suit.
Yeah, I suppose. I
I
suppose.
mean, that's what they did for Final Wars at the Gromas
They
Training
did
Theater.
do that.
Had Tom
They-
Futigawa on.
Wait, did you go to the Final Wars premiere in LA, or did you just go to like a random screening?
Like I said, I think I maybe went to it. It was so long ago, I can't remember. I
Okay.
did see it. I'm pretty sure it was the Egyptian, but I can't definitively say if I went to the.
Right. Because I do recall Tom, which is his English name, kind of. The suit actor for the Final Wars Godzilla. I believe they pulled out the suit. They it might have been the same time they also presented the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I don't know if it was the same suit or if it was not a stunt suit, not a hero suit, but like a promo suit. Yeah, publicity suit, because it shot vapor and stuff. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent a little bit, but but it would have been funny, is my point. So yeah, that's interesting. I actually did, on the subject of the suit. Were you also like your own photo double? Like when they're setting up shots, did they use like a Godzilla prop, or did you just have to stand there?
As I remember, I'm pretty sure I've got this right. They did make a lighting dummy.
Okay.
Of the suit.
That's interesting.
Because it would have been hard to hold a certain body position while they're, you know, checking.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So there must be if I'm interpreting that correctly, like a second non-functioning suit, or maybe something with like less paint on it or something.
The last time I saw it was at Patrick's studio, and when I was at Patrick's studio, and he had like a little museum of like different things he designed, you know, from like Stargate, Independence Day, Godzilla, and the Underworld movies. But maybe Patrick has it in storage somewhere.
Maybe we've been trying to get in contact with him. Every lead we get, he's a hard man to contact. I hate to say it. He's a mysterious guy, but he's still working out there too. I'm pretty sure. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't blame
Too
him.
busy for us.
Well, he's probably like one of the greatest like American. I know he's not like I don't remember if he was born here, but you get my point.
He was
He's
not
one of
born.
like the greatest like American cinema concept artists ever.
Mhm.
He's and like I've like been like, yo, good, nice job, like on his Instagram a few times, and he's like replied, but like that's it. Other than that, like I have not been able to contact him. So he's his own
One of these days.
one of these days maybe.
Right.
Even his friends, I contacted a good friend of him. He contacted Patrick. He didn't respond to him.
He just doesn't like us.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. It's his works. I mean, Nick has studied that book of his front to back.
It's like my
Um,
Bible.
See, I wonder if Kurt has that book or if he's read it before.
I do. It's in. I have it in storage with some other books of mine. But yes, I have a copy.
Awesome.
Of that.
So he must be in that a lot then. Especially that. I mean, I'm a personal enjoyer of that famous photo of you with your head sticking out of the entire suit. Okay, so I want to ask, what specific shots of you in the suit ended up in the movie, and did you know that there would be only those shots used in the movie, or was the original plan that they were going to use a whole lot more of you?
Once again, I have no idea about how much they wanted to use CG and how much they wanted to use practical. My guess they would like to do as much practical as they could because get it all on camera. But with the Mother Godzilla, pretty much anytime the Mother Godzilla broke through something tangible like side of a building, a street, the side of the tunnel, that was me. And now the producer said like we didn't use any of the motion capture that we worked on, and I'll take them at their word. But there's a fish trap sequence in the movie where they have some fish set up, and this is not. I forget if it's the first fish trap sequence or the second, but Godzilla comes in and the army's there and they start shooting that Godzilla and it turns around and takes off. And I know that I worked on that sequence with the director for about 8 hours. And I remember the director, Roland, pretty much letting me do the scene the way I wanted to do it. He didn't give me too much direction. So when I went to see the movie and I heard like there's no motion capture in the movie, well, when I saw that scene, I said, boy, that looks like me. Cause I said like step, stop, look.
Yeah.
Step, stop, look. So maybe they used it like as a template. And
right.
I'm not saying the CG guys traced over it. That's not what I'm saying. But like this is the flavor we want to have. But yeah, like I said, when I saw the finished product, I was like, I knew exactly every beat of that scene and like when he's going to stop and turn and look. And so.
Right. So I was going to ask if you knew, I mean, I think you answered my own question, but I was going to ask if you knew if they rotoscoped anything or based it off your performance and maybe use that when they were doing the CG.
My answer is I don't think so. I have no idea, but I don't think so. I know they had a really good team of CG people who worked really hard trying to get that, make sure they got to the release date. But yeah, I really can't answer that. I just don't know.
Okay. I have another question based off something that's not super well documented. And I was hoping that you maybe had some insight on it. So, propstore.com had an auction quite a few years ago now, probably like 10 years ago, and I'm just remembered it. they were selling, along with their Godzilla 98 props, a cat skeleton. The cat skeleton, according to them, was allegedly used by production to get a feel for how Godzilla would move. Seeing as how he has like almost like cat hind
Just
legs.
a real cat skeleton.
I don't know if it was a plastic one or a real skeleton. And I don't know who bought it. So, but I never, maybe Nick would know, but unfortunately he's out of the office right now.
Right.
So I want to know if you knew anything about that.
That's not ringing a bell to me. I know at one of my meetings with the producers, I said, "What are you looking for?" And they said, we're looking for someone to show us how Godzilla moves." And I know that there was a lot of, before we got into shooting, we're doing all this motion capture work, and there was a lot of like, how much hip movement should the creature have? How much should the hip not only roll from backwards to forwards, but it should also like go up and down. The hips move up and down because we're thinking, like we're asking like Patrick, how tall is it? How long would the stride be? Would it be 2 city blocks? Would it be a block and a half? I'd lived in New York for 10 years, so I had a really good gauge for like how long a stride should be compared to a city block in Midtown in New York. But there was, and there was discussion about, should the head be below the hips? Should the head be above the hips, with the tail? And there was a lot of discussion about that. Maybe somebody had a cat skeleton. I don't remember ever seeing one. But that's not saying it didn't exist, but I don't remember ever seeing it.
Okay, cool. I know that was a very bizarre question, but it was like such an interesting thing with me. It stuck with me for like 10 years.
Right.
And I could never find out if that was because prop store, they're fairly reputable. I don't think they've ever, I'm sure it came from somewhere.
Maybe
the story behind it might be a little like,
maybe the CG people had that or something, because I know they were kind of siloed off from us, like we were, I was in front of the camera, and I know at, Centropolis or wherever the CG people were, I remember going over there one time, we were looking at footage or something. But everybody was just too busy doing, just racing for the deadline.
Right. I imagine you probably didn't meet the cast.
I did kinda. I mean, I certainly was around them a lot in the Madison Square Garden sequences, like Jean Reno and Matthew Broderick and Maria and Hank. Yes, I was certainly around them a lot. But of course, I was, when I was a baby Godzilla, most of the time I was bolted to the stage floor, so I couldn't walk. And they had their job to do. So, but I remember Maria came over one day and introduced herself, which was very nice. But so I didn't officially meet them, but I know I accidentally hit Hank Azaria in the head.
Oh man,
with the chin of the baby Godzilla.
Yeah, so that's interesting because I actually did notice that in the movie when they were very visibly practical in the film, the babies didn't look like they move their legs that much.
Yeah, we were all bolted to the stage floor because we had so much more mobility with our torsos because we didn't have to worry about balance. The balance issue was pretty much element was taken away. So we could just focus on performance rather than balance and performance.
Okay. So did you ever walk in the baby Godzilla suit on camera?
We tried to, but I think it was a Friday, and it was like one of the last shots of the night, and they put Preston in a suit, but it didn't really go right. And Roland decided we'll just shoot the CG.
Interesting. Okay. So I do recall there were a few, I don't remember if it was a couple or like more than two Baby Godzilla suit actors. I don't know if it was a test or some kind of audition, but they were on stilts and running across, I don't remember if it was a room or like a gymnasium. This was footage from a short Animal Planet segment about the 1998 Godzilla film. Did you happen to be in that footage?
I think I was, and I think I know the footage you're talking about. I think we all have like white t-shirts on, and
Right.
we're all in our custom-made leg extensions. Yeah, that was. They got a rehearsal space for us, and we would go there and just train and practice and work out. So yeah, I was part of that with all the other guys.
So was that before they were officially casted, or was that after?
Oh, that was after they were all cast. Yeah.
Okay. I figured, because I figured they wouldn't record an audition like that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So were you upset at all that you couldn't be in the movie more? Or was it just kind of whatever?
I was just very thankful I was in work. I got to work on the movie, and some of my stuff made it. Really, I had no delusions about my participating in the movie. I was really just very thankful for the job, and and all the great people I got to work with. I learned a lot. I worked on that movie for almost a year, so that was a really great learning experience.
Now, this might be a little too personal, but it's been like 25 years, so maybe it's fine. So I do know SAG rules change, as time goes on. I know there's specific rules for background, there's specific rules for stunt people, there's specific rules for how like certain people get paid, right? I'm not sure. Well, I guess this is a two-parter. First, what does your job technically fall under? Like, are you a stunt person, or are you like a creature or like a suit actor or something? And two, did you get paid well? Did SAG give you like specific protections under that title?
As I remember, my contract was like a contract an actor would have. Because you're in front of the camera, you're getting direction. Now, stunt people work in front of the camera, obviously, and they get direction too. But we have the same. I had the same like contract an actor would have. And they put you on I was on a special contract. I don't know if it still exists. It's called a Schedule F, where they pay you X amount of dollars a week. Whether you work or not, you still get paid.
Okay.
But I had because I worked on the movie so long, I had this thick contract, that I had to sign, with all this, stuff, and like, they own your likeness in perpetuity throughout the known universe and all this stuff. But yeah, you treat like most. I think just like every movie I've ever done, you get treated. You have the same contract as an actor because you're performing. Yes, you're maybe under 2 or 3 inches of silicone or foam rubber, but you're still an actor performing in front of the camera.
Right. And did that change at all throughout the years? Because I'm not sure. I want to ask too. Like, do you still do creature effects like this? Because I know in recent years, a lot of kind of practical monster suits kind of fell out of style. You still see it every now and then, especially in Japan.
Yeah.
But has been finding work like this harder, easier? Do you do like actual on-screen acting instead, or how does that go?
Yeah, I like this
Uh-oh.
movie I'm supposed to do next month. I'll be playing August, I think it is, on Peacock, that I worked on, where I played a creature. I have two movies that I shot, one during the pandemic and one a couple years ago, that have not come out yet, that I'm waiting for them to, you know, be released. And I apologize, I've forgotten your question.
um, it was a little convoluted. I apologize. The question was, is finding this type of work harder nowadays?
Thank you. Yes.
Have you, and do you get paid better nowadays now that SAG rules have evolved, or are you still just kind of treated as any other actor?
I the there's less, in my opinion, there's less work, a little less work than there used to be, because maybe they're not making as many of those movies. Maybe, you know, CG is so good. I know years ago when I went to see a movie and I saw a trailer for the first Transformers movie, and I saw a robot come out of a swimming pool in sunlight and there was water dripping off the robot, and I said, boy, that looks really good. Because you know, like the Godzilla movie I was in, everything was hidden behind fog and smoke, and it's at night and it's raining, and those like the one of the I had lunch with one of the producers of Godzilla one time, and he said the CG, he said they get 100% better every 6 months. You know, now this is like 1996. He's telling me this, but you know, but I could see that, yeah, just every 6 months, they just make this quantum leap, and you know what they can do and how good it looks, and how fast they can do it.
Of course, now we've kind of like stagnated on a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's stagnated in some sense, but also now we have AI, which I can just CGI a person and make it look real.
Right.
And that's kind of getting to the point where like maybe I think we went a little too far.
Mhm.
But I think even now with the most modern technology in 2023, there is a lot of use cases where practical effects still look better.
No, 100%, yeah.
And it's like even in the Marvel movies, they use too much CGI. Like I don't think there's any good reason other than like stunt scenes where we should be CGIing the entire Spider-Man suit in any given scene.
No. Absolutely.
You know, so it's I wouldn't say it's a lost art, but it's super underappreciated by studio standards and even to an extent the audience.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, I mean, obviously the reason for that is because digital effects artists aren't unionized.
yeah.
That's the real reason.
Yep. It all not to get too political. But I'm big into like unionization and like making sure everyone gets their like fair share. And the actors have their union, digital artists don't. So it's, you know, it's rough. They'll so
Okay.
ultimately it's like whatever is most convenient and cheaper, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. And regarding pay, you know, you just negotiate what you can get with your agent, you know, and
Right.
just like an actor would.
It's interesting. So it's okay. So it's a lot closer to like I guess like any other principal actor in
Yeah.
the film. Okay.
Just that, you know, you're in a monster suit and they're not. And yes, you're not going to be paid as much as you know, when I worked on Lethal Weapon 4, I was not paid as much as Danny Glover or Mel Gibson or
Right.
Joe Pesci, certainly, and nor would I expect to be.
Right.
So yeah, that's all negotiated.
Right. Well, the thing with those principal actors too is I suppose you're not just purchasing their time and performance. You're also kind of purchasing the fact that they're a walking billboard.
Yeah.
So, you know, but in addition to that, I did want to ask too, do you do a lot of motion work? Do you work in video games at all? Or is it mostly just finding yourself doing practical suitmation?
Most of my work has been the practical work in creature suits. There was a span of time there where I was doing a pretty good number of motion capture jobs. I worked on the Starship Troopers TV show,
Oh.
which was a lot of fun. Some video games that I can't remember. But the studio that I worked at, who would hire me all the time because, like, let's just use Kurt. We've worked with Kurt before, and the client would be like, okay, great. They went out of business, and so and it's kind of a bit of a tough nut to crack. It's like once you're in, you're in. That's been my experience, because they know you and they like working with you. But then for me, once that studio went out of business, like I was kind of on the other side of the door, trying to get in. So I haven't done that much video game work or motion capture work in a while, and it's a shame because I really like doing motion capture work. It's a lot of fun. It's very fast. You can just go from setup to setup very quickly and get to use your imagination a lot and try to come up with some neat stuff.
Less sweaty.
Yeah, you can still get sweaty in a motion capture suit if the shooting space is a little bit too warm or something. But yes, a lot. It's a lot less tiring than wearing a creature suit all day.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I get it, right? Because once you get a mocap file, you just import it in the Blender or 3ds Max. I mean, if there's any character design changes, whatever, you just 2 clicks.
Yeah.
So but I imagine there's nothing like being in the actual Godzilla suit and being like you're physically the character.
Right. Yeah, and seeing the little cars and the miniature street lamps and the miniature mailboxes and
Right.
the little and the buildings with all the little signs and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually own some of the I don't know what scale they're in, so I don't know if they were for your scenes or for another scene. But I do own quite a few miniatures in different scales from the film.
Okay.
So I have like a couple of these like long, like highway cinder block things. And
Okay.
I theorize that they might be from the death scene.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't been able to like 100% confirm that. I probably never will be able to.
Right. And
But I also have
where did you
sorry.
procure those?
So they were from do you recall his name? From the Peekaboo auction?
No, I don't.
Okay.
There was a screenwriter who worked on the newer Jungle Book film, and he worked on, I think, Wedding Crashers. He unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and his family set up, in collaboration with Peekaboo Auction, a massive auction of his entire Godzilla collection. And he was like, he wasn't even just like obsessed. He was living like the Godzilla lifestyle. Like
Right.
he had some of the most like bizarre and interesting pieces all throughout the entire history of Godzilla, straight from the 50s to current day. So he had acquired quite the collection of memorabilia from the 1998 film. He had multiple sets of miniatures. And I believe he also even had a chunk of skin from your suit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I actually don't recall if it was from, I mean, I suppose it could have also been from the big animatronic, but it looked smaller. It looked like, I think it was from your suit.
Sure. Okay.
And he might have had he had a lot of like seats from the Madison Square Garden, which I now have.
Okay.
I bought his a little miniature pigeon, some street signs, which you mentioned.
Okay.
So sorry, that's a little tangent, but
right.
a little interesting. They're around. They're around. There's I know there's a few collectors, some items. There's some silicone fish out there. There's a lot of eggs. I own one of the eggs.
One of the
They're
big
out
eggs?
there. Uh They're like this big.
Oh, okay. Oh, from
Yeah.
from a model. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Okay.
I don't know this for sure, but I assume the bigger eggs were probably either destroyed or they're locked away deep
Yeah.
down in like the building from the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. Yeah, they were huge. They were
Yeah.
huge, you know.
Right. But some of the, I mean, Sony still owns some of the props. Like I said, they have at least
Mhm.
one baby, and they have the Godzilla suit that you were in. It's just in a state of disrepair, and I kind of don't know what they plan on ever doing with it. I think
Right.
it's just kind of in there because they have the space.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, I know after the movie was over with, and uh I Titopolis Design, they had to, you know, like release stuff back to Sony because Sony paid for it. And I helped take some of the stuff that was Sony's back to one of their warehouses in Culver City, I think it was. Yeah.
Hmm. So I think they actually do tours. So have you ever thought about trying to see your buddy again?
Never occurred to me. I do know that uh, years ago I went to the Sony lot to see an episode of Jeopardy being shot, and not far from where you stand in line, like, oh, there's the Mother Godzilla head, you know, like a framework. And I was like, oh,
Right.
you know, memories. So
That's so interesting.
So I had a question. I don't know if you were aware of the potential that this was initially thought of as a trilogy, and obviously the film didn't do too well, but there was a story treatment for a potential sequel by Tab Murphy, who did the pitch for it. And I don't know if you've read it at all, but regardless, would you have, had they actually went into production with that film, had they asked you back, would you have come back for it?
I would have, absolutely, 100%. That's the first I've ever heard of it. That's very interesting you say that, Nick. But yeah, absolutely, I would have loved to have gone in.
Yeah, because the film would actually have Godzilla fighting another monster, so you would have had to.
Interesting. Yeah. So I wonder. So yeah, that I mean, if you want to learn more about it, we have an interview with Tab Murphy. But that so that was a short-lived pitch that they wrote for Godzilla 2. I mean, I'm sure you must have heard that they're probably planning a sequel. I mean, it ended in the cliffhanger.
Right. Yeah.
So they were planning a sequel, and in the initial pitch, which I don't want to act like this was definitely what they were going to do because it was literally like the one and only like pitch they did. But Godzilla fights a giant insect monster.
Okay.
But he has multiple adult babies. So I wonder how, you know, only one can, you know, imagine like how much CGI and mixed with practical effects they would have done for that.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, that's the first I've heard of it, but I would have been more than happy to do that. I know one time the producers, I was talking to one of the producers, and they said that they really they were trying to get me to be one of the helicopter pilots.
Oh,
And that would have been a lot of fun, but they said I was just too busy, you know, doing motion capture or, you know, the being in the Mother Godzilla suit or whatever, you know, just, you know, to because you work just every day.
right. So that was that intended like kind of like as an in joke for them?
I guess so, yeah. And you know, maybe they were just trying to throw me a bone or something, but
Right.
that would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, because then you would have got. I think you would have gotten. I think the helicopter pilots speak, so I believe you would have gotten the second principal role credit. I don't know if that counts as one or two then, but
oh, I'm sure they had it worked out. They don't have to pay me anything extra, you know.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So I had. I believe I had another question. Oh right. So this kind of leads into another question I have, but do you still have like kind of like any personal connection to the character? Like, do you still love this Godzilla incarnation? Did you buy any of the toys or any of the merchandise?
I didn't. I was given. Well, earlier, Nick. I don't know if this was being on tape when we started a while ago, but Nick had that like Godzilla cup holder kind of thing,
Classic.
and I think someone gave me one, and I think I lost it in a move. Um, I uh, I didn't buy any merchandise. I do have a Godzilla bank that I use sometimes when I go out to sign autographs. That'll sometimes be on my table. I do have a friend of mine that I worked on the movie with. We became friends, worked on the movie. He bought one of these Godzilla, uh, like posable Godzilla statues that's pretty big. And after about 25 years, I think he and his wife got sick of it. And so he said, if you want it, you can have it. I was like, sure, I'll take it. I think, my signing agent and I are actually thinking, well, if somebody wants to pay a lot of money for it, we'll be happy to sign it for them, send it to them. But a lot of the stuff I took from the movie, like we had tons and tons of fake fish everywhere.
Oh, okay.
And so one of my dressers, I asked her to steal one for me. So she picked up one of the fake fish for me and stuck it in her kit bag. I had that for a very long time until one day I was like, why am I still keeping this? It's just
The memories. That's why.
There is a few fish on eBay right now, and I'm
Okay.
wondering if they're the same ones. Are they they look to be like random fish was it like this small?
No, it was a full-size fish.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I've seen
It was
those
a full-
too.
Yeah.
There appears to be, and I don't know, I assume they're legitimate because the person selling them was also selling legit pieces.
Yeah.
But they were little tiny like rubber fishing like bait.
Mhm.
But it looked like they had more detail sculpted in, and then they made a mold of
Okay.
that and
Maybe that
copied
was
it over.
maybe that was for the 124 scale
Right.
stuff we did. I also know that they had blankets of fake fish that they could just pick up and move around. You know, and of course I have I never got to use it, but I have a director's chair and a chair back with the Godzilla logo on it, and instead
Aw.
of saying my name, it
That's
says
good.
Kurtzilla.
Godzilla.
Very nice.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. So did you keep anything else from the set, or is it just kind of any gifts from anyone, or was this
Yeah,
kind of like here's your paycheck?
right. Well, the you couldn't really, like that was, like getting that fish was like I'm exaggerating, but it was like getting the Pentagon Papers out, like it's, they were, you're not supposed to take anything from the set, and you're not supposed to talk to the media. If anybody asks you about the movie, you're not allowed to say anything. But I know some friends of mine, they were like, can't you like steal a claw or something? And I'm like, I would have to rip it off the costume, and I don't want to make work for any, so it will have to be replaced and repaired.
Right.
And so I remember after the movie was over with, I got a package from Matthew Broderick, and it had a very nice Zippo lighter in there that said, Gojira 1998 on it. I think I still have that somewhere. And I got a crew jacket that I gave away a long time ago. But that was it. I don't really have any, just my memories, just my memories of working on the movie.
That's so awesome. 25 years later, that you're still working in this industry and still out there. It's I mean, do you have any other like did you ever get any other roles that like hit quite as big as Godzilla? Because we were talking about how like Godzilla was probably like one of like the like craziest movies when it came to marketing, and it kind of burnt so bad that very few movies do that very often, except like besides like Marvel or Disney, which are like two I mean, they're the same person.
Yeah.
Or anything else that like do you have like a magnum opus performance throughout the years?
Not really. Because I've done so many different kinds of things. Being in Little Shop like I was not in the original cast of Little Shop of Horrors, but I was in the original off-Broadway show. I guess that's fair to say. And that was pretty cool, and I got to do Godzilla, and I got to I grew up watching Land of the Lost, the TV show, and then I got to be like the movement coach for the movie Land of the Lost, and I played Sleestack in that, um, and doing those underworld movies, and I've just, I mean, I played a singing moose in a short film, which is crazy. It was a lot of fun, and it's crazy. I've been very lucky in that I've got to do a lot of crazy stuff that most normal people don't ever get to do.
Well, you're in such a niche subgroup of acting too. It's I mean it's awesome how like just working on Little Shop of Horrors like led to Godzilla and then leads still to the work you're doing today. Like that's just amazing to me. Because most people
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Most people that we've contacted for this show, a lot of them are off to greater pastures in terms
Okay.
of like their career. And that's not like a dig at them or anything. It's just, 25 years is a long time. And, some people like they retire from acting, they find a new, or they retire from whatever
Yeah.
work. I mean, I think you're actually the first cast member we've interviewed.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Hopefully not the last, though.
hopefully not the last.
Right.
We are talking to someone else right now. I won't name who, but they seem pretty hesitant about getting on the show.
Okay.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
But other than that, yeah, it's regardless of whoever's line of work, there's a lot of people that aren't doing the same thing they've been doing 25 years ago. And
Yeah,
I don't know, it's just cool to see, like, because like I said, like in America, like this type of acting, like it's very few and far in between now. So it's awesome that you're still making a successful career out of it.
well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends do the same thing. Work friends, friends, they do the same thing I do. So, we're just accustomed to it. And I know when we were shooting Godzilla and all the baby Godzillas were together, and we were sitting on a bench, and the guy next to me doubled Batman, like George Clooney in the Batman movie that he did. And the guy next to him played an alien in Alien 3, or I think, and the other guy next to me, doubled Predator in the first Predator movie. It's like, boy, we're and I'm playing Godzilla. Like, don't mess with us. I got Predator, Godzilla, I got Batman, and I got an alien.
Oh, dude,
That's the dream team right there.
Fortnite lobby. Dude, that's awesome. And I mean, not only did you get I mean, technically you played two different Godzilla incarnations. So that's pretty cool.
The baby Godzilla and yes. And I got to poke my hand out of that egg and scare Maria in a scene when she's running by.
So do you recall which one exactly you are to look out for in the movie?
I would have to sit there and with you and say I'm that one. I know where I am, because you spent hours and hours in the same place. So I know where I was, but I couldn't describe it to you. If we were sitting there together, I could stop the movie and say, that's me.
I don't think the suits are all that visually distinct from each other.
They are not.
They are not. No. They're very interchangeable. Yeah.
So, but you purchased some of the toys. You didn't weren't too interested in anything else, though. I know there was quite a few of the toys of the babies and a lot of the adult. And then even ice cream with the mom Godzilla in it.
Oh, okay. I don't. I just don't remember. Uh, I just don't remember being on my radar like Godzilla toys.
Right.
Like I didn't go to a Toys R Us or anything like that, or a Walmart where toys would be. Um, it just never really occurred to me, I guess. I mean, the only thing I knew, talk about, like, because the commercials were everywhere, so that was one thing.
Right. Oh, and I suppose I was gonna ask if you knew about if you worked on the Taco Bell ad at all, but I don't. I think the Taco Bell ad was mostly made up of
I think so.
stock
It was
footage.
stock footage from the movie.
Yeah, I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about. There's a 1998 Taco Bell ad that came out. Oddly enough, I think it came out in 2005 or something.
Oh yeah.
It was really weird. And I think it's mostly comprised of stock footage of Godzilla picking up a Doritos truck, and
Mhm.
they just like slap the
Oh,
Doritos
yeah.
logo on like a CGI model of the truck. And
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just reused from when he's attacking the fishing, the cannery.
It's
Right.
interesting.
Gotcha. You know what? I do kind of remember that. Yeah, and I was like, that's like a one-off. Like that's very random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No residuals from that at all? Or in fact, do you get residuals from the movie at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, still? You still get like a
Oh yeah.
fat check 2023?
I wouldn't say fat, but you still get yeah, I still get residuals for it. Yeah.
Awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. I guess I shouldn't poke, but good money? Okay money?
I still get money from the movie. I'll
Okay.
just put it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully a
Good.
little more now that G Fest is gonna show it at the theater. That
Yeah,
absolutely
I-
give you something.
Yeah, well, he might get like, I mean, it's one showing, so he
Yeah, I
might get
know.
like,
There's a lot of people.
you might get like a McFlurry.
that McFlurry, maybe.
Right. I get a Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, a single Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, I think even McFlurry is like cutting it too high.
Listen, Kurt, I work at a candy store. I'll hook you up.
Okay.
Kurt, come to Massachusetts. You can have as many goddamn fucking McFlurries as you want.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, no, dude. I mean, even if you aren't, I know you probably want to be like paid for like a hotel and stuff. But like, even if you just wanted to show up to G Fest, I'm sure you'd be a hit there, dude. I know there was another Godzilla 98 alumni that showed up. He was never a guest, but he showed up a few times. He was the miniature guy.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I know
Oh.
last time I went to G Fest in 2019, Michiru Oshima was there, but she wasn't a guest. The composer for Megaguirus and both Kiryu films. She was just kind of there.
Sometimes they just show up.
Yeah.
And so
She was really happy to meet people.
I'm sure they'd open up to you in open arms.
Okay.
There is a lot of, especially now, once like kind of like the internet turmoil calmed down a bit. There's a lot of people that look on that movie very fondly. It's
Yeah. Yes. When my autograph agent initially contacted me about representing me, he asked, "Do you go out and sign autographs?" I said, "I don't think anyone would want my autograph." He said, "I think you might be surprised." And he goes, "I think people love Godzilla's autograph." I said, "I don't think so." But I've gone out a few times, and it's always very nice when people, want your autograph because you were in a Godzilla, so that's very nice.
I mean, dude, and yours is, you're not even like the average Godzilla. Like you're
I'm-
in a historic Godzilla. You're the first American adaptation that's not a cartoon, obviously. And I mean, shit, and you're like, I mean, you're the only American suit actor too, and you're probably the only American suit actor that's gonna be in existence ever.
I
Like for
guess, yeah.
Godzilla.
I guess,
So-
yeah. Unless someone, decides to do a really old school, Godzilla movie with guys in suits and miniatures, and which I think would be really cool.
If you count it, there is I forgot his name. There is another suit actor. It's been 10 years, so I don't know off the top of my head. But he played the Snickers Godzilla in a Snickers Godzilla ad.
Oh, I think that's my friend Doug. Yeah.
Yeah, Doug. Okay, good. Okay, I knew it started with a D. I wasn't entirely sure of his name, but I know they did like a digital concept art of it. It was very like obviously based off the 54 Godzilla, but like kind of like friendlier and like
Yeah.
dopey looking. And they built a suit for that, and that was, I know he did a few convention appearances like in boxing
really?
and stuff too. He seems like a really nice guy. So if you
That's
count
a great
that,
guy.
he's another shares the same
Yeah.
blood as you, Kurt.
Yeah.
And it's when it came to the suit acting is a very, to non-Godzilla fans and non-Toku fans, it's a very underappreciated art, I think.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, shit. I mean, that's like what we were doing for decades before CGI, and it arguably still looks better than
No,
CGI.
100%. I mean, stuff like Alien still looks phenomenal today.
I will take a suit alien any day over a CGI alien. You know, and same with like, and that's like my main criticism of like the Marvel movies. Like I said, like do we need the CGI Iron Man's entire suit?
No, I mean that's there's a reason like that first Iron Man film looks so good is because they had the Stan Winston studio work on that film,
Right.
and everything else just like kind of had that weird.
Oh, I
unreality
wonder
to
if
it.
Kurt met Shinichi Wakasa. Does that name ring a bell?
Ring a bell. It does not. Can you illuminate who that is for me?
So I know that he did he either visited the set of 1998 or he just like, all I know is that there's a photo of him with the suit and he's good friends with Patrick Sotopoulos.
Okay.
Shinichi Wakasa, he created a lot of the suits for I think the 90s.
Yeah,
And
I think he started. I want to say he started with either like around 91, 93, like
yeah,
Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. One of those two films where he started and he just kind of did everything
up until Final Wars.
Final Wars.
Yeah. So he goes to G-Fest sometimes. Maybe you can find him on Facebook and be like, yo, what up? But he's good friend. I know he's good friends with Patrick Tatopoulos.
Okay.
And so he's a big fan of like the 98 design. So he might, I know there's photos of him with your suit.
Okay.
So
You know, I very well may have met him at one point, but I don't remember it. But you know, there was a lot of people, you know, going, you know, when you were shooting and stuff,
Right.
of course.
and, you know, lots of dog and pony shows for people like executives that you don't know who they were, like, you know.
I mean, I was on set of a film yesterday and I couldn't tell you half the names of the people I met. So the fact that you remember anything from 25 years ago is phenomenal to me.
Oh.
But you might have a better memory than me.
I'll have to see if I have. I think there's a picture of me and the gentleman who played Godzilla from the Smog Monster movie on the internet somewhere. I took a quick look at my photos and I didn't think I had one.
Interesting. Yeah, Nakajima was a great guy. I mean, very quiet, I think, in his later
that
years.
was also because he didn't speak a whole lot of
Yeah,
English.
I know. But like, dude, there's photos of him with Christine Chapin,
No, I know.
just like getting drunk at the after party.
I was at that party.
Like, dude was, dude was like 90. Like, that's awesome. He was a cool guy. And he was kind of a badass. I think he was a pilot. Is that right?
I think so.
Right.
I could be wrong. I could be forgetting my Nakajima lore.
Yeah.
But I think that was the case.
And I was so like,
I know he played a pilot in a film.
Yeah. And I think
Godzilla.
I think it's interesting though that like hearing a lot of those foundations of the Godzilla suit process, like, sounds like they didn't change that much between 1954 and 1998.
Not really, no.
Because he still had the battery wedged between his crotch, and it sounds like he obviously, when you're developing a movie like that based off a real animal, you have to study the real animals.
I will say one of the things that thankfully changed, from what you were telling us, Kurt, it sounds like the suit was a lot more comfortable than any of the Japanese ones. Because there are some stories like, oh yeah, we had to like
Tom almost drowned in one.
Tom almost drowned. You know, they had to like drain the sweat out of some of the suits sometimes. It would get so hot. But yeah, so it sounds like you had a more relaxing time.
Which is kind of why I kept asking and poking you about the SAG stuff, because I mean, Tom, I think he's like straight up a stuntman.
Yeah, he is.
Like, if you watch Godzilla, I mean, you watch Godzilla Final Wars, you know, like some of the movements in that, they're a lot more crazier. Like he's like kicking soccer balls and shit. He's like jumping and he's going underwater, and you know, I don't recall if he ever did any like water stunts like that or anything like that. But that's why I was wondering, because suit mation from a lot of what I heard can be kind of a hard job. Or I don't know, maybe it's just a Japanese thing. Maybe they don't have like that much, like
I have no
maybe they
idea.
don't have a SAG equivalent. But
Well, I mean, I've worn lots of suits, and you know, they can all get uncomfortable after if you're in it long enough.
Right.
They can all get, you know, just imagine, you know, having to hold your arm above your head, you know, just put your arm above your head for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
you know. Now do that for 5 hours, you know. You know, and that's before you even get to work, you know. I mean, you're just like waiting, you know. So yeah, they made that costume as comfortable as they could. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I remember one of the coolest suits I've ever seen was the suits they made for the monsters in Attack the Block.
Those are some good.
Those are so convincing that it's pretty easy to pretend that there's no human under that suit.
It really is.
And it's like, I cannot imagine. I don't think I even have the strength to get in that position. Never mind performing that.
Considering that's such like an active role,
it's
too. Like they're like galloping on all fours.
I don't know if Kurt's familiar with Attack the Block, but it's like a 4-legged creature, and I think they even might have stilts on their legs too.
Maybe.
But it's like they're some of the, if you see the footage of the test they did, like it's some of like the coolest suitmation I've ever seen.
It's really really good.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
Yeah, that's a movie that stars John Boyega before he did Star Wars.
I think it was like 2011 is when that came out, so it was well before Star Wars.
Right.
Yes. So what was your experience watching the movie I was in? Like, how old were you when you saw it? You know, what did you think? You know, compare and contrast to more traditional Japanese Godzilla movies.
Right.
So I'll take this first because I was alive when the movie came out. Granted, I was 1 year old, so I didn't see it in theaters.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. But I probably would have seen it. I got into Godzilla at the age of 3 when Godzilla 2000 came out, 2 years after the 98 film. And I probably would have seen it right around then. I don't remember because this is so long ago, obviously. But
sure.
I do remember like learning that, oh, this movie came out in theaters. Hey, Dad, why didn't you take me to see it in theaters? Why didn't you take me to see a Godzilla movie in theaters? How could you do this to me?
Right.
But I've kind of never understood all the hate. I've understood it, but I've never like related to it. Like I never had that deep-seated resentment that so many fans have for that film. It's always been kind of like, yeah, it's a fun little, I've got a lot of nostalgia for it for sure. Like I don't know if I told you, Chris, but when we did the first episode of the show reviewing it, I did not watch it for that. But I watched it a couple of weeks ago on the actual 25th anniversary, and I had a great time with it. I was like, this is such a fun movie. I'm having a grand time.
I oddly enough probably had more fun watching that movie that last time than I ever did. I used to hate the movie because I thought I had to.
But
honestly, like I'm not gonna be real with you. It's not like I'm sorry, Kurt. It's not a great movie, but it's a good movie and it's pretty fun. And especially if you're a kid like I was watching this movie, it is such a awesome film, and it's a good introduction to the character, I think.
Yeah, we've covered this on here multiple times, but it came out at the time that like a lot of, because it was everywhere with that marketing, it's directly responsible for a whole new generation of fans, and I don't think people give it the credit it deserves for doing that, because I don't think Godzilla would probably be such a big thing with people, with fans our age, if not for that film.
Right.
Mhm.
And I mean, it was probably like one of like the craziest marketing in history.
Yeah.
Like, or at least, for film. It it was a good movie. I mean, it was good for what it was.
Yeah.
And not only that, like on the subject of Godzilla himself, even people that hate this movie swear that it's a good monster design. It's like I'm gonna like break like a cardinal sin and say it's probably one of my favorite Godzilla designs. But that's mostly
I tried to,
because
like,
it's
cross myself
Patrick
that
Tatopoulos' work, and
did not
Patrick,
work.
like I said, Patrick is one of the greatest concept artists.
No, yeah, Patrick is phenomenal.
Yeah, I know when we were like when I first met the producers, and then they gave me the videotape, like I said, and then I had to go in and I do what I thought Godzilla would move like, and I was allowed to ask. Patrick was there, and I had all these questions like how the arm movement and stuff, but they would never show you what it looked like. You weren't allowed to. You could ask questions, but they wouldn't show you, and then they could call you back again, and that's when it was just me and two other guys, and they had the maquette and drawings of what the Godzilla looked like, and then I go, oh, okay, this is really different, because it's so, because you just hear Godzilla and you just get this image in your head, and it was but once you saw the maquette and the drawings, like, okay, this is really different. It's totally different. It's a different way of moving, and that was um, mind blowing, because like I said, you could ask all these questions, but until you saw it for real, like, oh, okay, I get it. When
Right.
I would ask Patrick, can he move his arm in a circle like this? Patrick would say yes. Like, all right, how's that gonna work? So I know I went home and I tried to draw, like, from what Patrick described, like what it would look like, and I was way off. But yeah, the design is
I never
very, very
realized
smooth.
how strange the proportions were until I was an adult. Because to me, it's a good design, but I realize now, like, his entire torso is so human.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess
Yeah.
it's a lot like the original Godzilla design in that way, but the entire torso part it's like human
Yeah.
proportions, and when you get down to the legs, it's like T-Rex.
Totally, yeah,
And
totally therapy.
if ask any 5-year-old, a T-Rex doesn't have arms like that.
No.
So
Yeah.
it's like so bizarre. It's like these reptilian and both humanoid design, like proportions mixed into one.
Yeah, you always wanted to keep your elbows like locked into your torso, because as soon as you went like this, it started to look like a guy in a suit.
You're right.
And and also, like, when you wore that costume, there was a corset underneath that they would like tie you up in to make sure,
Oh.
like, to keep that tight waist and big shoulders. But yeah, you're right. It's a very human torso.
Right. So you wore a
With
corset under that Godzilla suit.
it was built into the costume. Yeah, it was
Wow.
built into the costume because they want it to just be as tight as possible. So when you move your arm, I know that you don't wear a corset on your arm, but
Right.
they want the suit as tight as possible so that you keep wrinkles down as much as possible, so it doesn't look like a guy in a suit.
So I wonder, because now this is making me want to see the suit firsthand. I wonder if we made the trek, if they'd let us see the suit, if that's on display.
Let's go. Let's just storm the Sony lot.
It's like Jan 6 for Godzilla fan.
Christ, I'm not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole.
We gotta show them pictures of the suit. I don't have them on hand, and I don't want to stop the show for that. But it's like I said, it's in shockingly good condition for what it is. I've seen.
Okay.
I mean, if you see any of the other Godzilla suits, they're like completely decimated.
They're
before they got restored.
Yeah, now that they're like actually doing some work to like have them on display for people.
But I'm shocked that they don't like put this one on display. I know like Toho doesn't have it, but like even like on Sony's end, I don't know. It would be cool to have like a little exhibition for
Yeah.
the anniversary or something. Maybe they can do it like combine it with like Independence Day too. Um, I don't know. They're like I said. I mean, a lot of those props did get sold off. They're in like the collector's circle a bit. Keith has a rock.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I have an egg. But I don't know. It's just sad to see that they're just locked away. But I guess they technically own them, and what else are they gonna do with them?
We'll just have to start a campaign.
Start a change.org position.
Yeah.
To what?
No, get the suit. Give us the suit.
Give me the suit. Give Kurt the suit. It's like those movies where someone like takes something away from like some Egyptian pyramid and then like some curse happened. Dude, like everything bad that's happened in the past 25 years because Kurt doesn't have the
You
suit.
could have made a Godzilla connection with Mothra's egg and you didn't.
So to start to end this off, I did want to ask Kurt a very important question. Did you like the movie?
I did. And the reason why, it was really the first movie I was ever in that I really wasn't cut out of. And it's hard for me to not like the movie because I worked so long on it. Yes, even though I never got to read a script and I just showed up and did exactly what I was told. Yes. No, I haven't watched it. I have not seen it in a long time. Yeah, I've got a copy and maybe I'll watch it tonight.
Oh,
cool. Yeah, I have a follow-up question. Did you ever see the animated series that followed up the movie that aired on the Fox channel?
I did not. I've seen an episode or two, and actually, an acquaintance of mine was a writer, or I think a writer on the show, or the writer, my friend Bob. No, I was, I guess, a little too old for cartoons.
Never too old for cartoons.
never.
Yeah. So, now if Nick, I guess, is still taking his mother's car in to be repaired, I guess.
Yeah.
But if he has some questions or something and he wants to contact me, you can give him if he doesn't have my contact info, if he, legitimately has a couple questions he thought of.
Yeah, we could just like tag on like either an annotation or just like record your voice. Deep fake his voice.
Right.
No, not gonna do that shit. But so you didn't, I assume you also didn't see the Rift Tracks version of Godzilla 98, did you?
Oh, I didn't know they did one.
They did
they
one
did
live in
it,
theaters a couple of years ago.
they screened it in American theaters. That was the last time. It's
Oh,
little
wow,
little
okay.
known fact. Godzilla 98 got a wide American theater
Was the
release
Rift
in like
Tracks.
what, 2017 or something it was.
I think it was earlier than, I think it
Really?
was way earlier than that.
I
I
don't-
don't say it was before 2014 came out.
My world's biggest regret was not seeing that. I saw the Mothra. I saw the Mothra one though.
I didn't see the Mothra, but I saw 98.
Mm.
Oh, wow. Okay. Didn't know they did that.
You might be able to watch it still. I don't know if they still do, but I think you can buy the
I
audio.
think you usually can.
You can't buy the video with it, obviously.
Yeah, you have to have the
movie, but you
itself,
just sync it
buy
up.
the-
Okay.
So that might be of interest to you.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
There's also, like I said, probably for the first time in years, to my knowledge, unless there is some private screening we don't know about, Godzilla 98 is returning to a theater,
a single
a single theater this July. So we'll let you know how that goes, unless you I don't know, if you break your piggy bank and like buy a plane ticket real quick, because that would be pretty dope too.
Right. Well, it would be nice to hang out and watch the movie with you guys.
Of course. Yeah, no, we really do hope you make it one day, because G-Fest is a special, and if not, maybe you can try to hit up someone from All Monsters Attack.
I know some of the people in charge of All Monsters Attack, so
You might be able to pull some strings.
I can put in a good word for sure.
Okay. And where is this Where's this convention?
Almost, they've kind of moved around. They've only done 2 so far. I think the first was in Indianapolis, the second was in Chicago, and then they're doing another one this year in LA, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
They're moving it again?
Yeah, so this one's kind of like it's both Days of the Dead and almost
Okay.
so it's like horror
So-
and also kaiju.
So is the next year one still going to be in Chicago?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna assume it
knows?
is, but basically, All Monsters Attack. It happened, I believe, last month.
Mhm.
All Monsters Attack. It's I don't want to say it's like a diss, but it's kind of a competitor to the G Fest. It's a brand new convention, and they not only is it a competitor to the G Fest, they had it at the old G Fest hotel. It's a lot more. It's a smaller, but it's a lot more
Fun?
about the guests.
Okay.
And it has like it just kills G Fest guest list, like just
It-
blows it
it
out of the
did,
water.
Yeah.
And I think there's definitely a possibility that they would love to have like more American of more of an American Godzilla appearance, at least
Because it
somewhere.
wasn't just kaiju too. They had some guests from Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, Power Rangers as well. So it's not just strictly kaiju.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, I can definitely put in a good word with the guy I know. We can see about getting there next year or something at the
Well,
one of the next
thank you,
shows.
Nick. If you would like to do that, I would appreciate it. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
absolutely.
Of course.
And I'll be at Heroes of Japan Fest, I think, in
Oh,
August.
yeah, that's the one that I met in that's the one where I met TJ. That's Japan World Hero. No,
Japan Heroes. I think it's
Japan
just called.
Heroes.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, no. I'm thinking of the Japanese event I went to. No, yeah, Japan Heroes, I think it's
Yeah.
called in was it? It's not Sacramento. It's it's in LA, right?
Well, I think the one I'm supposed to do is in Pasadena.
Pasadena. Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. I went there a few years ago. I used to live in LA. So, and you're in LA too, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, cool. But you used to live in New York, I
I
assume.
used to live in New York City. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Pasadena, that convention. I also heard that there is your buddy on Kaiju United broke news about another convention.
Yeah, so I think it's called Super G. It's in Canada.
And the guy that's running
somewhere.
that told me personally that they're trying to get representation for 98 there.
Oh, okay, well, I'll.
And if Kurt doesn't know about it, I assume they got someone else.
Well, I mean, they're
But
still in
maybe-
the earlier
Yeah,
stage.
yeah,
I think like they only just announced the convention.
Right.
3 days ago or something.
Right. So anyway, point is, we need Kurt. We need Kurt. Fuck Mark Hamill. Fuck those
Jeez.
guys. We need Kurt.
Tell me how you really feel, Chris.
Dude,
God.
okay. Who did Mark Hamill play? Joker, the Luke Skywalker. Kurt played Godzilla.
You really struggle.
Okay, but do you know what I mean though? Like, okay, that was a joke, but do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, Kurt played like one of the most famous fictional characters of all time.
Are you saying Joker and Luke Skywalker are not?
They are. No, they are. They are.
Of
But
all time.
I'm sorry. Do they have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
I don't know. Maybe.
They don't. There's only I think like less than 5 fictional characters in like
Oh, the
Hollywood.
fictional characters. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
they're-
Hamill probably.
Kermit has one. Big Bird has one.
Mhm.
Mickey Mouse might have one.
I'd be shocked if we didn't.
Yeah. And then there was another one. But I guess I'm getting too ahead of myself. But point is, fuck those other guys. Godzilla has one.
Yes, and I've seen it. It's not too far from Man's Chinese.
Yeah, it's actually right in front of it. And you know, as a kid, you think of Hollywood as this like beautiful, amazing place. You know, when I saw the Godzilla star, there was a few cigarettes next to it. When I saw the Bryan Cranston star, there was some marker all over it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's there. It's you know, it's just you know, Godzilla is one of those characters with invincible longevity. people, I mean, I have no doubt that there will be more Godzilla content in the future. And actually, now that I think about it, I actually do remember the question I was going to ask earlier. Would you return the play as Godzilla ever?
Sure, absolutely. I think that would be a hoot. I would love to.
Dude, they should make the Godzilla Spider-Verse movie. Just get everyone back.
And
Okay.
I'm
before we
getting
go,
tired, as you can tell.
that's Super G in Canada is a show that might be happening.
I believe. Let me bring it up real quick.
Right. I know it's on Kaiju United.
Yeah. They were the ones who broke the news, I believe.
The Alex Jones of the Kaiju News Enterprise. Just kidding, Jacob Lingo. We're joking.
Super G, the new
Right.
Canadian Kaiju convention experience.
Right.
Do they have a location where they're going to do this?
I don't think it's that
Probably.
far from the border. I think it's somewhere like kind of above the Midwest. Ontario? Windsor, Ontario.
Windsor,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's more on our end actually, isn't it?
Wait, isn't this the one that you're going to be at, Kurt?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to be a Winnipeg. I'm going to be a Winnipeg,
Hold on a second. I gotta-
which is near Detroit.
So not Canada.
Well, I mean,
No, it says
Canada,
Godzilla
but-
98 to visit Windsor. Kurt Carley to make the first ever Canadian convention experience. I'm pretty sure that's you.
Yeah. So that's Super G. Is that
That
what
is, I
Okay.
guess Super G
We did it, guys.
and the Northern National Collection Convention are kind of the
Okay,
same.
it's just I've never heard it described as Super G. It's always been the Northern National Convention.
Yeah, I don't.
We'd like to
Okay.
announce on the No Croissant podcast that our petition has worked. We got
Right.
Kurt out of
We did it.
convention, guys.
Good.
We
Thank
did
you.
it, Reddit.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay.
Got that settled.
Okay, so
Tic Tac.
that's where is that in Ontario?
Windsor.
Where the hell is that?
I don't know, Canada.
It's right across the way from Detroit
Where's Detroit?
in Michigan.
Michigan's in Canada?
No,
Oh,
it's on the border.
okay. I see now.
Someone failed geography in high school.
Sorry, I was confused. Yeah. Okay, so that's more like mid
I think
east.
end of September.
Okay, maybe we'll have to go. On a personal level, this is like my love letter to this film and everyone that worked on it, really. So, you know, I don't do it for like the money or anything. I just do it for the love of the movie. So
Right.
it's
Well, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it then, right?
Yeah,
Is there
of course.
anything you want to, shill for us while you're on here,
Of
Kurt?
course.
I'll be at in Winnipeg in September, signing autographs. I'll be at the Heroes of Japan show in Pasadena
Awesome.
in August. I'm shooting a movie. I'm supposed to be shooting a movie next month that I can't talk about. Blah blah blah. And you can check me out in a movie called Crabs. I think it's on Apple TV and other streaming services. It's a fun movie where I play another kind of creature. The name of the movie is Crabs. I'll give you a guess what kind of creature I play.
Giant spider.
Zebra.
Yeah. Cold, very cold. Keep going. But that's what's on tap for me right now.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, like I said, it's just an absolute honor to have Godzilla himself on the show. And, you know, other people might not see it, but I see you right up in the ranks with all the other people that were lucky enough to don the Godzilla suit on film.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
Your
It's
work
very
is
kind.
appreciated for an entire generation of kids, and not even just like Godzilla fans, like just everyone that saw that movie and loved it and came out loving it. So
Okay. Thank you. Okay, guys. Well, thanks a lot, and stay in touch. And if I have any other Godzilla related stuff, I'll contact you. And if you
All right.
want to chat again, please hit me up. I'd love to talk to you.
Of course, of course. All
And
right,
maybe I'll
cool.
see you at a convention.
Oh, we
Fingers
hope
crossed.
so. Fingers crossed. Maybe we can do a live show.
Yeah. All
There we
right,
go.
Cool.
Kurt. It was a pleasure. We'll let you have a good night.
All right,
Thank
cool.
you very much. Have a great night, guys. Tell Nick I
You
said
too.
bye.
Awesome.
Will do.
No problem.